Hello, everybody. My name is Bruce Montgomery, and this is my colleague, Tracy Priest.
Hello, everybody.
And we're with The Road to Retail. On our podcast, Tracy and I hope to offer tips, insights, ideas, and examples for how small, emerging, and challenger CPG, consumer packaged goods, brands can build their business. Everything from determining if you're ready to grow, where to start, how to prove it online, or how to go about securing distribution at a national retailer, driving your business through to the end consumer, or how to go about finding an investor if you're ready for that aspect. Bottom line is we would love to help you be successful by highlighting the many important aspects of this journey to establishing and growing your brand. Tracy and I have been doing this a long time. We've made a lot of mistakes, and we've done a few good things, so we're here to help you. Please follow our podcast on iTunes or Spotify, leave us a review, and consider sharing the show with a friend or colleague that may benefit from the content. Tracy?
Bruce and I have been involved in consumer packaged goods commercial operations roles for over 30 years. We define commercial operation functions relating to sales, marketing, trade marketing, broker and distributor management, agency selection and management, new product development, brand acquisition and divestitures, and customer management. We also invite on our episodes friends and former colleagues from all aspects of the Road to Retail process to come on the show and offer their opinions and experience. Again, we encourage you to subscribe to our iTunes or Spotify channel at Road, 2 Retail. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the newest episode of Road to Retail. Bruce, good to see you again. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Tracy. It's good to be seen. Welcome back.
Yep, good to see you. So tell us who our guest is today.
We're very fortunate today. Today we have Rob Clemons from Wonderbelly, where he currently wears 500 hats, but he's technically the VP Supply Chain and Operations. So Rob, welcome to the show, my friend. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
So Rob, as we jump in here, why don't you give the group a little bit of background on what you've done so far in your career and how you ended up in this gig with Wonderbelly?
Yeah, I'll start from the beginning. I got the blessing to play collegiate ball. Been an athlete all my life, and to be honest, had no clue what I wanted to do. And so, after graduating, needed to find a way to make some money because mom wasn't going to let me live at her house and not make any income. And so, off the whim through an alumni, I got into the CPG world, and that's kind of I started to work for a holding company that was building e-commerce businesses, and I just became the jack of all trades guy, young college grad, and learned all things about CPG, e-commerce, and retail, and made my way through the ranks of different operational roles for different companies, and now landed myself with Wonderbelly in terms of turning this brand concept for digestive health medicine into reality, where we're currently at, nationwide and major retailers like Target and CVS and a lot of other different, smaller mid-market retail locations.
Well, pretty fortuitous career path for a guy who didn't know what he was doing until mom said, Rob, time to earn some scratch, Jack.
Yeah, when you got to start paying for your cell phone bill and car insurance, car payments, and all those different types of things, you start to realize that it's a little bit more expensive than you thought it was, right? So gotta make some money, but yeah, it worked out pretty well. Who knew I could make this whole CPG thing and into a career and it be something that I thoroughly enjoy. It also it relates real well to kind of the athletic days for me and a lot of competing and scratching and clawing. So a lot of fun.
Great.
Love it. So Rob, our audience is primarily, emerging small brands, startup brands, some challenger brands. So tell us, I know our fans are going to really love to hear the backstory of Wonderbelly and what gap did you guys see in the market and how did you think, feel that Wonderbelly was going to fill that, consumer gap?
Yeah, Wonderbelly is a pretty cool brand story, but It's founded by two brothers, Lucas and Noah Kraft. Really, the brand concept came from Lucas's story, just his story as a human. Lucas, you can see this kind of everywhere with our brand socials in different places, our website. But Lucas struggled with bulimia as a kid. What it just developed into was just a lot of gastrointestinal issues. And so for a long time, he's always had to deal with, different issues, and has always used remedies to, of course, try, OTC remedies to take care of those issues. And so during COVID, there was just a lot of discussion about being, bad fillers in medicine. A lot of lawsuits. I'm not going to mention what they were, but it sparked Lucas, and he goes, wait, what's in all the things that I'm taking on a daily basis? And so he started to do some more research, and he realized, the remedies, the medicines he was taking to help with the issues he was having could cause other issues, right? Other health issues. And so it kind of, it sparked the idea that he really wanted to make, cleaner OTC medicines, not supplements, not fluffy vitamins. He wanted real medicines that worked, but without the extra additives, cheap additives that, manufacturers and brands use. So that's kind of where it all went. He went to his brother Noah, said, hey, and Noah's has been an entrepreneur in the tech space. And so he went to his brother Noah and said, hey, I got this great brand idea. I'm the brand and the creative guy. Can you, bring the bronze and bring the operational and execution acumen to it? And so those guys got together. It's funny, about 3, 4 months, 5 months into it, as they're kind of creating the concept, going through different ways of how they were going to pitch, investors, etc. These guys called me in. I met them at a little office they had in Austin, Texas. They explained the brand idea to me. At the time, it was a different brand name, which is hysterical now to look back on. And I thought they had a great idea in terms of, hey, going after a market that hadn't been touched in terms of the digestive health aisle. And so, we parted ways. I kind of gave my input, some thoughts, some things that I thought, I'm like, I kind of doubtful about this, doubtful about that, but you guys keep going back to work. Let me, and we'll chat soon. And then once they did kind of a pre-seed round, Noah gave me a call and said, hey, want to bring you on. And that's kind of where it all started, and getting to help them build this business from the ground up. So I believe I was higher, technically probably 2 or 3 at Wonderbelly. And so kind of been with these guys since the early days, and it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Love that story.
So that's a cool story, Rob. One of the things Tracy and I speak about and with the founders and folks like you is the need to have that kind of meaningful point of difference, because when we talk to retailers, one that's vivid in my mind, the person said, the last thing I need is another cut and paste brand. So as you guys, when you have this cleaner label, cleaner, fewer ingredients story, how have you positioned that when you go in to talk to a retailer to make sure that they understand you're different and here's why, and here's how we're going to tell people about it?
Yeah, I think one thing we had going for us, and I'll give a lot of credit to Lucas and Noah and what the research did in the back end, was like, this category was just ripe for disruption. It's an old category. It hasn't been touched in a long time. I think, for a multitude of reasons, being on the ops end and having dealt with all of our product development and getting our product registered, making sure it follows FDA standards, follows the OTC monographs, etc. Like I think one part is that it hasn't been disrupted. And for many reasons as to why. It takes capital, it takes regulatory know-how, etc. But all in all, I think because it hasn't been disruptive in a while, it allowed us to really position ourselves that is unique compared to our competitors, right? There wasn't a lot of there isn't antacids that didn't have dyes. All of them did, right? So then going, hey, we're going to build an antacid that has no dyes. Hey, we're going to build an antacid that doesn't have talc, which is, an added filler that you don't necessarily need the product. So the fact that it hadn't been disrupted in a while gave us a lot of flexibility to go, okay, how do we change what's existing currently in this product category, and how do we make it, how do we make ourselves stand out? Another thing is we took a different approach. It wasn't the traditional medicinal RX or OTC kind of development roadmap. We really looked at this as going like, hey, how are we more of like a broad CPG business, and really look at, medicine, kind of how, other health and beauty brands look at it, right? Is there certain certifications that we should be doing to make sure that our audience understands that we really hold ourselves to the highest of brand standards when it comes to ingredients, or the highest of highest brand standards when it comes to flavor and experience. And so, a perfect example is, being, having a non-GMO certification, making sure that people understand, like, hey, we're doing everything we can on the sourcing end to make sure that we vetted and verified our suppliers and making you the best product. So, all in all, I give a lot of credit to Lucas and his passion to make sure he was making a medicine that he effectively wanted to take as a heavy consumer. But like I said, I think one big play here was just understanding that the category was ripe for disruption, and there was a lot of issues within the category that people didn't want. And that's probably why there was such a shift to supplements. But there's a lot of people out there that, they don't want to supplement. They want the medicine, they want the active ingredients that live in these OTC medicines, and just making sure we kind of serve that community.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome. Love that. So Lucas, as you went through, and it was great, you've been there, since basically the beginning. So as you went through your launch, probably started DTC, what signs did you see that said, hey, you know what, we're ready for brick and mortar retail?
Yeah, so this is a tricky one. I think this is probably irregular to the typical CPG business, but we did launch first D2C. One, really, a lot of people say you build your brand on D2C, you make your money in retail, right? It's kind of the saying. What's interesting is, if we just take comp brands, like antacids on a Shopify store is not like necessarily the greatest shopper experience. You don't go online and go, man, I really need to get antacids, or I really need to get a bloat gas product, right? So we did launch on D2C, but mainly our launch on D2C was really to figure out messaging and brand and get our brand in a place where you could recognize us. It really is giving us credibility, right? It would have been weird to be a product on shelf and not have any website, or have no way to contact us, or have no way of understanding what the story is behind the brand. So really for us, it was all about getting the brand in the ethosphere and also cultivating messaging. So one thing that was great was we could really go, okay, what are people actually looking for? What resonates them? What USPs resonate with them as we run ads, right? Even if the ads don't convert, are we getting clicks? Are we getting actual, are we pulling people in to want to go to the website and understand what our brand is? So that was kind of the path and the start of why we got into D2C. But relatively quickly from there, it was getting into retail, because we believed that, and it's still the belief around our business, is that we want to be right next to the competitors. We want to sit right next to that other brand competitor, so you actually understand, hey, that is a Wonderbelly acid, and that's another branded acid. Oh, this is why I should be buying Wonderbelly. And so it was pretty important and pretty key for our business, and especially in the category in that getting on shelves was pretty key, not just to enhance legitimacy, but really to see, sales go up, because the consumer practice right now is really to walk into a store and grab the medicine from there, or even being on the retailer's website, which is, hey, if I'm shopping at Target, I'm going to go on target.com and I'm going to get everything I need, my grocery items, my medicinal items, whatever it may be. So that was pretty important for our business.
So Rob, when you guys, because I agree, Tracy and I had an investor on, and he said basically the same thing. He said you can kind of debug it and prove out the concept online, but in order to scale, you need at least some retail to make some money. So the question I had for you, as you guys started to see and feel that you were ready to go to brick and mortar, what criteria did you use to say, hey, you know what? These are the one or two accounts we should start with because it feels right? Because we've had founders come and say, well, XYZ account, they'll give me a meeting. Well, buyers are supposed to have meetings, but sometimes it's not a good match demographically, right? You might have an expensive item, but a dollar store says they'll have a meeting with you. Probably not a great match. So how did you guys sort through and kind of score who you wanted to go with early?
Yeah, so one thing that helped us online is making sure that our thesis on who our consumer was backed. So we were able to understand and take, hey, we are seeing that women between the ages of 25 and 45 are really interacting with our brand, desiring our brand, buying our product. And so when we were able to prove out those thesis, we had a very clear vision of the retailer we wanted to go after based off our price point and the demo we were serving. And so for us, we believed, and I'll give credit to Lucas. Is he, from his aspect, knew that Target was his primary retailer just from his perspective of what he thought he envisioned the brand for. But really, the data showed that Target for us was probably the first place we should really be, just based off demo, based off of also looking at spins data and different things in terms of sales. But it would be the best place for us to get a good look at, how we would do in retail on a shelf with the right demo walking through. So for us, the criteria was, one, just gut feeling, right? You're not going to get enough data to actually understand what the right retailer is, but based off some of the data and based off of really demographic and understanding who we were trying to serve, we were able to weed out and go, okay, this is the retailer we should be attacking and should be the first retailer we attack. Because we all know on this, on this call, is that it's expensive to get in retail, right? It's not just walk in the park, you throw a Shopify store up. So there's a lot of inputs there. So you got to understand what retailer you're going to go after and why, and make sure you're giving yourself your best shot, especially for your first time on the shelf, that things are going to work and play out how you intend them to.
So Rob, a quick follow-up there. When you guys decided to go after Target, did they reach out to you initially, or did you have to, find a conduit to get to them and say, hey, we have something we'd like to talk to you about?
Yeah, it kind of happened at the same time. Like I said, I'll give a lot of credit to the brand that was created. Target was interested from the get-go. Of course, we had then a broker, and we started to get into a lot more, meaningful discussions about what would that relationship look like. But from the get-go, I mean, we did have the opportunity, thankfully, most major retailers wanted us in their doors. So then it really became about what is the right fit, what is also the right deal financially for our business. And so, we had the likes of Target. We had been talking to CVS for a while, Walmart, et cetera. And so when going through the process, we really had to, when you're being courted by these retailers, it can be very enticing to go, we should do all of them, or this one has a great deal. But to your point earlier, I think we stuck with our guns. We knew that Target was the right retailer for us to launch with. We found the deal that made sense for both parties. We felt there was going to be great investment from both sides to make sure our brand was going to be successful, and that we were also going to, be a great asset to the category and to the lineup in that inline space. And so it worked out well. But yeah, we did get courted. But I from my experience and working with other brands in retail, there's also just, hey, finding the right broker and finding the right people that actually know who the buyers are you're looking in your category is imperative. And you can get like you said, you can get a meeting and get a pitch, especially if you have a good product. But we all know I like to say the easiest part is getting into retail. The hardest part is really succeeding at retail. So, you can get in, and there's a multitude of ways to get in. Luckily, we had a brand that I think was very enticing. There's just definitely a mutual connection and definitely a courtship from Target itself.
Yeah. So Rob, Bruce, and I have a bumper
anymore. Go ahead, Tracy, say it.
Yeah, it's not about sell in, it's about sell through.
Yes.
It's all about velocity.
There you go.
Units per week per store.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. So Rob, tell us about how you balance and the roles that they play. So you've got D2C, you've got your website, you've got Amazon, now you've got brick and mortar. How does all that work together?
Yeah, I'm gonna give my best stab at this answer because it's not something I actually focus on very much in terms of how does our omnichannel work. I'll give a lot of credence to our VP of sales and our VP of marketing because this is something they think about all the time, especially also merchandising. But from my experience in what we do, my experience and also what we're doing at Wonderbelly. For us as Wonderbelly, what's interesting is like I've said, with this category, being on shelf is so important, and that's where most of the sales come from. But I will say, as we're seeing it with our businesses, Amazon has become a very great channel for us because we're just thinking about shopper behavior for our business, which is, once again, when you go shop for medicine, you're either going somewhere to shop for this medicine with a purpose. So for a perfect example, when people go to CVS, they're going there because they need X. They know what they need. They know what they want. And so us being there, when someone wants Wonderbelly, they know that, hey, I need Wonderbelly. I'm going to CVS. I'm going to get my medicinal needs, right? Whatever that may look like. Target It's a lot more exploratory. So we know that we can acquire new customers, whether frequent users or people that don't use in-assets at all, but hey, they're just shopping, exploring the aisles, exploring and seeing us on a side cap or end cap. You know that that's a great acquisition channel for us in particular because there's a lot more exploratory happening. CVS is actually, we're seeing a lot more of that happen a little bit more with CVS. But like I said, you kind of understand what each channel serves as a purpose. Hey, CVS is going to be a lot of repeat consumers. They know what they want. They're going to come in, convert. Or there are people that, hey, I know I need an antacid, and there might be a little bit discovery of those people that are frequent antacid users or bloat gas users, etc. Target is a great place for acquisition, brand awareness, and there's just a lot of what we've been lucky enough is we've had a lot of off-shelf programs, so we've been able to really market and get our brand out there and find not just current users of competing brands, but people that maybe haven't even used ever used these products because they never knew they were there, or they haven't they've been using something else that hasn't actually been in the OTC aisle. And we're seeing that. Online, like I said, our D2C is really just for branding. We don't actually currently even sell off our Shopify site. We just tell you about our brand, our story, and really putting our brand out there. I think Amazon has actually been a place where we've seen the mixture of really conversion, but also being able to cultivate your own website, right? To be able to actually cultivate the story, understand the brand, serve ads around that. And then make sure that we're actually converting. Amazon has also become a place for us where we can test different size products. We can test different counts, understand what people like. It's also another place. It's also our only place where we really have a subscription service so that we can actually understand how people subscribe and then also see use case of how often people are buying or wanting to have certain goods delivered to them. So all in all, like I said, you kind of map with D2C, you kind of map, or our online we map, okay, how does this work? Brand awareness, marketing, but then how is this also to play for us to really understand our customer and have more contact with our customer because we have that ability. Then with our retailers, there's the discussion of, okay, how can we be marketing and kind of doing brand marketing that looks a lot different, physical, whether it be side caps, end caps, getting that awareness, but then also how are we driving to be in enough locations where our consumers that are either existing or consumers that we already know exist that want to buy, this product or this type of product, that we can reach and meet them at those locations.
Perfect. Love it.
Rob, that kind of leads right into the next topic we'd like to cover with you. As you guys were just starting and even now, what marketing vehicles have you guys utilized or still utilize to get that awareness and trial going? And then how do you guys measure those? I mean, this is all, as you guys know, even gigantic brands, fill in the blank, Tide, Budweiser, and very small brands, all marketing dollars are precious, and you got to know where they're going and you got to know they're working. And if they're not working, how do you redirect them? So how do you guys slay that dragon?
Yeah, man, this is a really tough question. I think there's just a fine mixture here of, what I'd call performance marketing versus brand marketing. And this is, I think, the challenge with every CPG business, which is when I'm saying performance marketing, we do a lot of classic things where you're, spending on Google, you're spending on Meta, and you're able to see really a return. Like you can really see a return on a lot of that spending, especially on the D2C, Amazon type level. Then there is what I'd call brand marketing, which is you're spending on certain levers, whether it be online ads, whether it be in store, whether it be those types of things that there's not necessarily a reflection of, hey, like Facebook, where it's like, I made an ad, this many people went through this ad and bought and converted. Here's my, return on ad spend or my marketing efficiency ratio, right? A lot of it is, here's my brand marketing and some performance marketing spend against then what are my we talked about it, units per store per week. What are my velocities looking like? And as I'm pulling those levers, different marketing spends, because some of them are a little bit blind, right? We could be doing some things that the marketing team could be doing some things with influencer and going, hey, go to Target, right? We don't get an actual correlation between like, hey, this influencer posted and, this person walked into Target because they saw this influencer's video, right? There's not going to be that direct correlation, but I think it is really imperative that if you are spending on something that what I consider in this brand marketing bucket, that you're actually reflecting and seeing your data, let's say on a quarterly basis, that you're actually seeing true velocity movements. So if you're seeing that on, your team's doing a lot of brand marketing, but your velocities are just continue to go down and down and down I think a quarterly basis is a good window to look at it. You don't want to look at it weekly because it probably won't reflect weekly, but you don't want to look at it on a 6-month period because you're going to run out of money. Right. So really going, hey, on a quarterly basis, hey, Q1, we spent this much in marketing. This is what's measurable. This stuff is what we call, brand marketing, not as measurable, but is it correlating to increases in sales, right? When we put up, we always talk about this is like when we put up that side cap in Target, were our units per store per week, did they flatline? Did they go down? Did they go up? If they didn't go up, why did we spend that much money on that display and any initiatives we put around, that initiative, whether it be influencer marketing, whether it be ads, whether it be anything we're doing with, different paid medias via those retailers. Sorry guys, there's a dog in the middle of the street. I hope that dog does not. We'll have to cut this out. Sorry.
You're all good. This is live TV, as Bruce says.
Yeah, sorry. There's like a dog in the middle of the street. It's good now. But anyway, so that's kind of how we look at it. But it is tricky. I think the main thing is that you need to have just honest conversations. For us as a leadership team, we're looking at our units per store per week, weekly, monthly. But I will say our finance team and our marketing team, sales team, we're all looking at a finite tooth comb of going, hey, on a quarterly basis, are we actually seeing growth in the different channels, different categories based off of the mixture of spend we're doing? And if it's not working, we need to reevaluate each lever that we're pulling. And if it's not working and it can't be measured, it's probably one of the first things to go because we're not actually seeing a correlation of, like we talked about, the metric that matters is stuff flying off the shelf. Are the units per store per week actually happening and working? So it's a tricky concept. I think it's probably one of the most difficult things right now that anybody working in CPG, but especially founders and marketers are having to deal with is how do you ensure that you are spending money in the right ways and not letting money on fire, right? But I can tell you right now is if things aren't selling and you've been spending a while, 3-6 months on something, you've been letting money on fire for a little bit at that point.
So let's go one step deeper here because Tracy and I have been speaking with people that utilize influencers, that hire them, that manage them, that fire them. What do you guys look for in an influencer? And are they foundational or is that kind of an ancillary tactic you guys use?
Oh man, you're getting into a depth that's not necessarily mine, but I'm gonna give you my best answer from what I know from working with the marketing team and seeing some of the things they're doing. I think first off, we've tried working with influencers that have a very large following that you're like, these people are really famous. You think they would convert, and that doesn't always work. I think one thing we are very clear on is whoever we're working with as an influencer, they need to be in touch with our demographic at a very strong level. So it doesn't matter if they have only 50,000 followers, but if they have 45,000 followers that are female between 25 to 45 that are interested in, and they talk a lot about digestive health, that is the influencer we want to be approaching. And so for us, it is about the influencers that we work with, their audiences have to be in correlation to what we truly believe our demo is and what our demo is interested in, right? So most of the time, we probably wouldn't have some type of kick video gamer YouTuber that we'd spend money on because he's servicing, 18 to 25-year-old boys, right? Not our audience. Bad. Even if he had, 5 million followers, it probably is not actually going to work, not going to convert customers, right? We might spend a ton of money with him, get a bunch of clicks, but that doesn't actually generate sales, right? And so I think for us, in terms of our influencer campaigns, really are making sure that we're targeting our core audiences. A perfect one for us is we've worked with influencers in the past, smaller, more micro influencers with, hundreds of thousands of followers going, hey, they service an audience of women between the ages of 35 and 40 or 30 and 40 that are currently either pregnant or in postpartum and going through, as we know, digestive health issues, right? They're dealing with heartburn. They're dealing with bloating. They're dealing with upset stomach. We want to make sure that influencer is posting and they're interacting with our brand because their audience is literally going through the life stages and things where they will actually need the stuff we're selling. So that's probably the perfect example I'd say for how we look at it is, but we really make sure that we approach influencers and if we're spending money with them, that it actually makes sense to the demo that we're upholding. And then there's also just going, hey, if things are going well, making sure that we're incentivizing influencers accordingly. Hey, posting great content, intriguing content, and then interacting with, interacting with our brand in a way that it makes it intriguing for their audience to go, okay, what is Wonderbelly? Let me give it a try, etc.
Yeah.
Great.
Awesome. So
Thanks, Rob.
you talked a lot, Rob, about evaluating your marketing spend. So are there any other levers or any other tools that you use to evaluate? You talked a lot about sales, and you're right on, all about velocity, but are anything else that you guys measure, whether it's brand awareness or any other, any other uh, tools or anything that you use to evaluate or that you look
Yeah.
at?
Yeah. So, we have, I know the marketing team looks at a couple different things, but basically how they flag it is they're looking at what does their brand awareness look like? So they're looking at our social following, our clicks, they're looking at impressions, etc. So there's kind of categories that they look at in terms of, okay, how are we doing in terms of just growing our brand and awareness around our brand? How are we doing in, like we talked about, as performance marketing? If we are spending X on Amazon, what is the return we're getting on Amazon? So just very clear cut performance marketing. How many subscribers do we add, based off of anything we're doing within that account, right? And then there's really another bucket, which is when we do a lot of what I would call retail marketing, or things that are kind of intertwined between sales and marketing. We're really looking at, okay, how much did we spend on this program? And then how did it actually reflect units per store per week for those retailers? And I think getting into that part is, if it is only certain stores, we're also just making sure that we're getting clear data, not like, how did it do in all stores? It's like, hey, if we only had side caps in 1,000 of those 2,000 stores, we need to extrapolate the data for those 1,000 stores. And what did the units per store per week look like for those 1,000 stores? So in the finite ways is we're looking at details in all three categories, going, hey, if we're doing brand awareness, what does that actually mean for clicks? Who did we add to our following? Did we add, a bunch of 40-year-old males? Okay, if we did, why? Because that's not what we believe our demographic is. By the way, that's never happened, but I'm just trying to give a hyperbolic answer of what we'd be looking at, right? And then looking at, okay, like we talked about, is Amazon D2C. That really is such performance marketing. It's very measurable. We should be looking at the data week over week. We work with an Amazon agency, so they're letting us know what they're running in terms of ads, keywords they're bidding on, etc. And okay, how is that actually reflecting in sales? And then, like I talked about, is we have a great sales team that is actually looking at, hey, if we're doing any type of marketing initiatives that are intertwined with our retailers, looking at the granular data and actually how it affects store by store and whatever we're trying to affect, right? And you don't want to gloss over it and go, hey, we're a per example for us is I want to say up to maybe over 5,000 CVS stores, right? But we could run a campaign there that we're on a mixed end cap with other brands that's only in 2,500 stores. We also then drove, we also did a mixed media where we then targeted, only 1,000 of those stores with paid ads, letting people know that in CVS we have this type of deal. And so then you're making sure that you're measuring, okay, how did that paid media campaign go with those mixture of 1,000 stores? And then how did that other 1,500 stores that had no paid media but had that end cap in it, how did it do from just, that walkthrough in that position that it's in that store? So, sorry, I rambled a little bit there, but there's different. I think that my broad, I'd say, broad key here is you need to make sure that you're measuring as much as you possibly can, but then also making sure you're not making it too macro, because some of it, if it's gray, the best way to make sure that you're getting it as black and white as possible is making sure that whatever initiatives you're taking, you can actually measure as detailed of an outcome as possible. Right. So don't get too lost in the sauce on how is overall CVS doing, or overall Target doing, or overall Amazon. It's like, whatever initiative you did, you should try to make it granular so that you can try to extrapolate, detail into how it works. And then if you see it worked in the one small part, okay, do it in a full blast, fully across your website or fully across all your retail locations.
Great insight. I love the fact that you guys are really, because we talk to a lot of brands and they're not evaluating their marketing spend. And like you said, I loved your analogy. You're just lighting money on fire if you're not.
Well, and the other thing, like you were saying, Rob, in every category, some brands do better than others. And within a retailer, certain stores in certain categories do better than others. So it's better to, try to develop the 500 stores of XYZ retailer where you're cooking than say, well, we're in 3,000, so we're going to spread the peanut butter
equally, because that's
Yeah,
just not efficient.
and that's one thing on the front end you try to do with your sales team and your brokers, like be in the stores that actually, for instance, we all know Walmart has a ton of stores, but be in the Walmart stores that actually sell, like that actually move your category or move products like yours, right? You don't want to be in the Joe Schmo Walmart that, yeah, maybe sells a lot, but they're like, no one's bought an antacid there in years. Like I said, I'm being a little hyperbolic, but you're completely right. That's important. So you should try to deal with some of that, especially with retail on the front end, but then continue to monitor it as you're working in these accounts. Hey, these 1,000 stores are doing really well. These 500 aren't doing great, but then, hey, can you show us some data on your overall store count? Is there other doors other 500 that might be doing better? Can we kind of shift our inventory to those stores because we might see better sale through at those other stores than the current 500 that aren't doing as well? So that's a very important part of, it's a very important part also just making sure that you're marketing in the right places, right? Marketing will work if you're just in the right place as well. So,
well, as Tracy just said, you guys are all over this compared to some of the brands we come across, and that includes big brands. They sometimes cover either errors or lack of attention to detail just by being huge and having a big budget. So, Rob, as you and your colleagues on the leadership team think about expanding your business, are you guys thinking we're going to expand with our current SKU lineup in the current retailers we're in, but try to get into more doors? Or are you guys thinking same SKUs, more retailers? Or are you thinking going into, flanker or line extension digestive products with your same overall positioning of fewer ingredients, clean label, blah, along those lines?
Yeah. I'm not going to give up too much because there's a lot in the works in the back end, and 2025 is going to be a big year for us. But to simply put, for Wonderbelly in 2025, we will be doing new products, line extensions, and there will be an expansion of new retailers and new doors. So we're getting the mixture of all things, and that's just because we've had a great team and we have executed and done some things really well. So we have that ability. I think we're in the places Wonderbelly with capital and with our success that we can do all those things. I'd say though, that's not for every brand, right? You got to evaluate where you truly are. Sure. and say, hey, what's best. But we're currently we're gonna have some new products, in the pipeline. We got some new retailers in the pipeline, and we're gonna see some door expansion here. It's pretty exciting time for us at Wonderbelly. With the warning though, just to note is like all the success still comes with a lot of management, right? Got to manage cash well, got to manage those new stores well, got to manage those new products well, right there. It makes it so that we have to be even better and more expanded on the strategy that we're continue to roll with.
Love to hear that, and we're very excited to see what 2025 has in store for the Wonderbelly brand. So you talked about having capital. So talk to us a little bit about raising money. Are you raising money? Have you raised money? And really specifically, what do you look for in an investor?
Yeah, so I'm not going to divulge too much about where we're at in terms of raising money. I'll let you guys. I'll let anybody listen to this. They can talk to Noah Crabb because he's the man, the myth, the legend, our CEO that really is in charge of that. But what I can't give it to you is, what we've raised. I think currently to the date, I think it's somewhere out on the internet. I couldn't even tell you what it says. But we have raised money. We have raised capital. We have some great investors, some great partners that work with us, day to day in our business and have helped us get to where we are. In terms of what we're looking at an investor, I think. One thing that, Noah is so great at is making sure that we're finding people that are really going to be helpful on the road that we're not just the road that we're on, but where we're trying to get to, right? If Wonderbelly is trying to be one of the household names for digestive health by 2027, then we want to put people, we want people on our side that will help us get to that end goal. And so I think with investors, a lot of it has not been taking what we kind of joke is dumb money. You want to take money that really it's more meaningful than just the capital coming in, but also the minds and the brains and the connections that are coming in with that capital, right? So what's great is the current investors we have can really speak to, the category we're in. They could speak possibly to maybe some marketing strategies that we're pretty deep in and help us with making sure that we're executing those marketing strategies measuring them correctly, etc. Or, hey, maybe they are investors that really have worked a ton with Target and have worked maybe possibly with the current buyer that we have or whatever it may be. And so we just want to make sure whoever is coming in to work with us really can help us get to the next level, which is and get to the end game and the end goal that we've pitched them, right? Because it's not as helpful to go to someone, we pitch them, here's the end goal, and they're like, that's really awesome. We can't help you at all with it, but here's some money. It's like, that's great. The money's great and all, but what we also want is just people on the bus with us that are really helping us drive in the right direction and get to our final destination.
You don't want anybody that's just going to write you a check and go, let me know how it works out for you.
Exactly. We want people involved. We want people invested. We want, it's great having investors that, I'm getting emails where they're saying, hey, have you heard of this? Or have you talked to this person? Like, those are the people we want because they're invested. They're thinking about us. I joke, they're having the shower thoughts about Wonderbelly and how it can get better. And those are the type of people you want that are invested in your brand, is those people that are like, oh my gosh, I was over the weekend, I was at a Target, I was looking at something, can we shift? I think we should shift the copy this way, or, hey, can we come up with a display like this, right? And sometimes you're like, no, we can't. But the fact that they're thinking about it and they're actually intertwined and they're thinking about us, week over week, month over month, that's important for us because that helps us make sure that we're executing on all, on stuff.
Yeah. And those are the good questions you want. You don't want, 500 emails a week or someone calling you and saying, hey, Rob, can you just get the Procter & Gamble products delisted? We'll have more shelf space.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, like that's not helpful at all. But it's those people that you're like, hey, they're asking intelligible questions. And that happens in the process of, which investors are going to come aboard. It's like those intelligible questions come up in that process. And you're like, these people get it. They're asking the right questions or they have the right comments. And like you said, it's not like, well,
first 10 minutes, you'll know. First 10 minutes.
Have you ever thought of like seeing if you can just kick out Tums? It's like, that's not how that works. But thank you for the offer. Yeah,
no, it's not. No.
Yeah. If you know how to do that, we'd love it, but it sounds like you don't. So,
well, Rob, that comes with an awfully big price tag if Tracy and I have to tell you our get rid of Tums secret formula, which doesn't exist, by the way.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. That's exactly the point. So that's why these conversations in the beginning before, anybody investing in you is important, because you'll just understand, you'll know, whether they're the right fit or not, just by the questions, the comments, and the feedback they may even have, right? I think that's just so key to going, okay, one, we want to work with these people because they know what they're talking about, and they're also just asking the right questions to try to boil down to what our thesis is and how we're working on this business.
And then the other thing we have heard that's helpful is that they're available to you. So when you guys need or have a question, it's not one of these things where they call you back in 3 weeks because they're working on their bowling ball company and their bass boat investment.
Yeah, no. And that is completely right. It's, great comms, always available, hey, here's my cell phone, call me whenever. But like I said, I think our investors are so good that's like, I don't even have to worry about calling them. I feel like, I'll get a call or a text like, hey, I saw this idea, or hey, how you doing? Or hey, I remember we talked about that initiative. How's it going? Like, how can I be helpful? And that's what's great is like, we just have such proactive investors that really do care about what we're doing and really bring, contribution to the mission.
Yeah, well, that's great. So Rob, as we round third base and head to home, even though you're a football player, let's start with one. Who's had the greatest influence on your career? And what did this individual do as you get further down the path of your career? You look back and go, man, that was really helpful, or that was really kind that they took that chance on me.
Yeah, I think, man, impact's hard. I'd say the biggest impact in my career is probably my mother and just her work ethic and everything that she's done. My mom has been a family law attorney for forever, has her own, law office, and just is amazing. So I think just my work ethic and what can I attribute to like just how I am as a person is definitely her. But I think just in CPG, I think one group I'll call out the most is this guy named Joshua Darmel. Him and his partners at Common Thread Collective, they're a marketing agency, and they gave me my first job, as an operations coordinator. So very thankful for those guys. I got to learn a lot about the consumer goods space and got to learn a lot about just overall what it takes to build a business, from the marketing side to the ops side to anything you can think of. And so I'd say, they made a big impact, because I don't think I'd be in this space if it wasn't for them. But then also too, I wouldn't have got to see kind of all aspects of of, consumer goods. And it definitely led me, getting to see all the ins and outs of sales, marketing, ops. I knew exactly what I wanted to work on, and it wasn't marketing or sales when I went through those kind of all those different places.
I
So
love that. There's nothing wrong with marketing and sales, though, just so you know.
no, there's nothing wrong. And I actually, like I said, I'll give a major shout out to our marketing and sales teams. They're freaking awesome. I love the work they do. And every time I talk to them, I'm wowed and awed. And then I sometimes talk to them, I'm like, man, how'd you think of that? Like my brain does not go there. So I appreciate all those teams, and I appreciate them also willing to, answer all my questions, because I am interested and want to have the know-how, but
Yeah.
I do love working in my lane.
Well, everybody has a role to play. That's absolutely.
Well, and it's also great that you cited your mother, because there's really nothing more powerful than the people you see at the dinner and breakfast table. And if they're cranking it, it plants the seed early. Hey, Rob, this is the expectation in this family.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my mom had me in law school and graduated law school, passed the bar on her first try. She's pretty much a rock star. So I've kind of seen it since day one. It's pretty powerful. But yeah, no, she's definitely a stud, and it's definitely passed on to family. I know my sister's going into medical school, and so talk about being smarter and better than her brother. Then my other little sister's playing water polo at UCSB. So she made a lot of great kids. Luckily, I just happened to be one of them. I don't know if I'm probably number 3 out of 3, but yeah, she was definitely influential for us, and it was cool to see how hard she worked.
I love
That's
it.
great.
I love it. Well, Rob, I get to answer get to ask the fun question. I don't get to answer it very often. Bruce doesn't let me, but tell us who your favorite football team is and why.
Oh man, as a former football player, this is probably my favorite question so far we've had.
Of
So
course.
I'll start college, and then I'll work my way to the NFL. College, like it's been said, I played for Yale University, so I'm a Yale Bulldogs fan through and through. Has been the exact season we wanted this year after winning, I think, multiple Ivy League titles the past few years. But they're my favorite team and who I cheer for. Otherwise, I'm just a college football fan. I love just watching college football. You'll catch me watching college game day on Saturday with my little girls, and then being like, trying to understand what the heck I'm watching, and all the great matchups on Saturday. So definitely a fan. But otherwise, in the NFL, I hate to say it, have been a lifelong fan of the Raiders, now the Las Vegas Raiders. They're terrible, but that's what real fandom is. Being loyal, sticking through and through. So
Oh, how I know that, don't I, Bruce?
yeah, yeah. So luckily, I'm also a huge Dodgers fan, been since day one as well, and we just won the World Series. So at least I have that to kind of ride through the rest of football season. Since my football teams aren't doing amazing, I can at least know that a World Series has been won. So.
Well, Rob, so 2 things. As a lifelong Yankee fan, I curse you right now for the Dodgers victory, although they way outplayed the Yankees. And then as in the NFL, we were living in Charlotte when the Panthers were born, and it's been nuclear winter for way too many seasons.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, it's I will say, it's hard being a Raiders fan, but I guess that's very fair. At least I'm not a Panthers fan, because that is a whole other situation there with good old Pepper and that organization. I actually really like Bryce Young, and I really hope that Canales and those guys can turn it around, because a fan of a lot of guys that are on that team and in that organization. But it's been a tough go of things these past few years. So
yeah, the Cam Newton years are a distant memory, sadly.
Yeah.
All right. So, Rob, thank you so much for your time. How could people get in touch with you if they're so inclined? And if you're so inclined to tell us how they can get in touch with you?
yeah, so you're always welcome to email me at rob@wonderbelly.com. That's probably the best place. And if I don't answer that email me again, because I promise I'll usually get back to you. But yeah, and then you can also connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on there, and I try to answer messages as quickly as I possibly can on there. But shoot me an email, connect with me on LinkedIn. Always happy to take a call, always happy to hop on a Zoom, talk, anything CPG, operations, supply chain, etc. Love those types of meetings, and love connecting with people in the space.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Tracy, the big finish.
Absolutely. So, Rob, I got to tell you, I love your energy, love your passion. It just comes through, and I just love that. So, thank you for so much for being our guest today, and just encourage our audience to subscribe to our Spotify and Apple page. So on Road the number 2 retail, or also on our LinkedIn page. So look for this episode in the near future. Thanks again, guys.
Good luck out there and buy some Wonderbelly.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Yes.